So, I just spent all day at a state convention. Well, I wasn't actually at it. I was on Zoom and it was very interesting. We voted on lots of good things. But I left there thinking, I need a drink and I need something a bit more interesting to sort of make my brain work a little bit. So I wanted to try something I'd never tried before, see if it was worth adding to the repertoire. And I discovered a drink that was kind of interesting in many ways. I've recently made the New York Sour, which is essentially a whiskey sour, but with some red wine or port as I used in it. And I came up with this other variant of that, which is called a Search and Rescue. And I heard that name and I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. It reminds me of Thunderbirds when I was a kid. It's marionettes, puppets, running around saving the world in spacecraft and rockets and all the rest of it. So, as a way of recovering from a day of meetings, I'm going to go and search and rescue myself from the madness that was those meetings. And this is a whiskey drink. Got a shaker filled with ice there. I'm going to use my usual George Dickel rye whiskey. And this recipe calls for 1 1/4 ounces of whiskey. Luckily I've got a measure that shows just those amounts. And you may be able to hear the music, which is a theme tune to Thunderbirds playing behind me. Don't ask me how I wound up with that music, but I do in fact possess it. Lemon juice. This is a sour, so we are going to put 3/4 ounce of that in there. And we are also going to put 3/4 ounce of port. Ruby port is what I'm using. Someone criticised me a little bit for keeping my port open. This is probably at least a year open now or more. I don't really care. I still like the taste even after a while. But additionally, so it was 3/4 ounce of port. I'm also going to get some vegetables with my cocktail. Be nice and healthy with a 1/2 ounce of Cynar, which is that delicious artichoke aperitif from Italy. So there we go, 1/2 ounce of that like so. And the final ingredient, because that's all a lot of alcohol and citrus in there, we're going to balance that out a little bit with a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Just there. And then we are going to shake that puppy up. And then strain it into a glass. Now that's kind of odd in there with only just about 1/3 of the glass filled, but that was the image that I saw for this recipe, so we're just going to go with that. No garnish. It's kind of an interesting colour. Let's see how it is. Yeah, Thunderbirds are go.